What's up, dudes? It's Burnsy, and today going to be talking about all this Kony shit that's going on, Joseph Kony. If you don't know, I'm sure most of you, if you're active on the internet, you would have seen yesterday and the day before. If you don't know about him, then there'll be a link to a video in the description. Go and click that, watch it, and then come back. Or also, actually, there'll be a link to Gold Glove's follow-up video in the description. Watch that afterwards. And then that's basically gives you a little bit of understanding to see both sides of the story. Now, I'm just going to say everything provided that you guys already know about him and what he's done, etc. And when I talk about autocratic leaders, I obviously know that he is leading a theocracy or, theocratic way or approach, but to be honest, is God really the leader? Last night on Facebook, there was at least like 50 people who shared it, and to be honest, people that were like, "Oh my God, I never knew things like this in the world happened. I never knew children were taken and abducted and made into soldiers." Like, honestly, that made me facepalm, and I wrote a quick status / essay, if you want to call it. It's only like 650 words, but basically explaining my thoughts and why I think that even if you kill Kony, even if he's on the number 1 of this list, it does not help the cause. Or it does help the cause, but it does not help it in a significant way, which people are seeming to think after watching one video, having no research and no evidence to back it up, and then just be like, "Oh, well, if you don't agree with the video, then you're a complete arsehole." Obviously, I support anyone who captures people like this, but to be honest, you need to know a lot more than just, watching that one 30-minute video and being like, "Oh, well, if you don't support him, you're an arsehole. How could you do that?" At least it's, helping out and making an effort. So yeah, this is basically what I said. It's going to sound written, and I'm sorry for that, but this is just what I came up with. So yeah, honestly, witnessing 90%... Fuck that one up. Honestly, witnessing 90% of society only wake the hell up now and realize things like this happen is possibly the biggest friggin' facepalm ever. For thousands of years, hundreds of leaders have led this way, and you only just notice because of a video shared through the internet than Jesus Christ. I'm definitely not saying he shouldn't be stopped and that it isn't a bad thing. However, it has happened for thousands of years and it won't be stopped so easily. During the reign of Pol Pot in 1975 to 1979, the autocratic leader of Cambodia would starve off his population and do the exact same thing. An estimated 2 to 3 million civilians died from malnutrition, forced labor, and executions. He executed over 2 million of his own civilian population if they were the slightest bit out of line. The young men were herded onto trucks to train with soldiers and leave their parents after shooting them, and the young women were used for sexual exploitation or pleasure or rape, whatever you want to call it. Now, approximately 21% of the Cambodian population was wiped out, and the rest of the world's governments did absolutely nothing. Nobody gave a shit about them back then, or the many previous generations under sadistic autocratic rule from evil tyrants. It's the same with Sierra Leone during the Civil War from 1992 to 2002. Anyone who has seen Blood Diamond, the movie, has remotely seen to a certain extent what had occurred during the time, showing a country torn apart between rebel forces and the government. The rebels, they amputated tens of thousands of people's hands to stop them from voting in upcoming elections. Girls were forcibly recruited, given narcotics, children back then were forcibly recruited, given narcotics, and used to commit atrocities. Thousands of girls were recruited as soldiers and often used for sexual exploitation. Thousands of children were the survivors of attacks on villages or found abandoned, and they were all used for patrolling, attacking villages with more innocent people inside, and guarding workers in the diamond fields. Now, in Somalia, since 1991, approximately 200,000 children were reported to have carried arms or had been recruited into the military, highly often with many of the same principles adopted by Joseph Kony in Uganda. Now, my point is this: you will never shape this world for the new future in poor countries with autocratic leaders will always kill off and torture their own working class people who do not have the strength, wealth, or military power to revoke against the government. History can be used as a guidance and a fact that no matter what decade, century, or millennium that these horrid actions take place, it can never truly be stopped. It's the same with war and world peace, and everyone thinking, one day there's going to be world peace. Mark my word, there will never be world peace. Albert Einstein once said, "So long as there are men, there will be wars." One of the most influential men in our history on our planet stated that wars were started by humans and ended by humans. As long as humans exist, there is always going to be conflict, infiltrated governments or corrupted governments and leaders. Now, it doesn't take one of the world's smartest men to realize that this will never be stopped, and thinking for a perfect future for our children to grow up in, like stated in the video, is idiotic. I fully support the hunting and execution of Joseph Kony and many other leaders out there in the world who many of you do not know about, however it will not end. I feel is unfair on those other countries that need help too and still being ignored by society. Whilst you stop and take action against Uganda, another country within the next 2 to 3 years will have been taken over by an autocratic sadistic ruler, and it will be the same never-ending problem for the rest of eternity. To sum it all up, don't expect a brighter future after this. It will still occur throughout the world, and thinking differently is idiotic. Now, just to quickly touch on a few things I said there, obviously I brought up many examples of where it's happened over time, but it was the same with Stalin and Hitler, and obviously that was on a much bigger scale, but it doesn't matter. It's happened all throughout the world over time. It's not going to be any different. Basically, and what has happened with in the Ugandan government in the past, and with a lot of similar third world countries around, especially Africa, basically there's someone in charge and they're the evil tyrant. Doesn't matter if they're part of the government or not, or if they're a guerrilla leader like Joseph Kony. They're in power. They have more power over everyone else pretty much, and they do these sick things. Now, basically what happens is they eventually get overthrown, like Kony will, and then a new leader rises to power, and that leader, or someone from his party particularly, they act nice for, the first couple of years, until shit goes pear-shaped, basically, and the people don't want that person in power anymore. Then to, basically, when they start hearing things like that, to suppress the people, they pretty much start killing them off, and the same thing happens again. If you look in history, the same pattern has happened, especially in Uganda and countries like that over time. It always happens, and it's just pathetic. Like, they used to, go into a village, and then they'd basically, dig a hole for someone, put them in there, and then just leave them with their head, so their head's just above ground level, and either they come along with a golf club or something and hit them or kick the shit out of them, or just end up shooting them. And it's going to be a reoccurring thing, because it's a third world country where if you have money, you can buy power. Basically you can buy power in the government, and they're so corrupt that that's just what happens. That's not like me being racist or prejudice or anything like that. That's fact. If you look at history over time with African countries and third world countries like that, the same shit happens every time. And I just found it funny that in 75 to 79 with Pol Pot, he had 2 to 3 million people that were killed, and the exact same shit would have happened. He had people dig up their ancestors' graves and their parents' graves or whatever, like Hitler did during World War II for the Jews. Dig up their relatives' graves, and then he would basically torture the shit out of them. And it's just wrong, but it's not going to end. It's not going to just happen so easily, because African countries, all our foreign aid goes over there and then goes into the government. How much, honestly, does it really go to the people? Does it really actually go to the people and not the military or something like that? It's probably going in their back pocket. You look at Mugabe in Zimbabwe at the moment. The exact same thing happens. He's got a lot of economic sanctions against him, and to be honest, if you think that you're going to create a future where it's going to be perfect and you're going to have world peace, or at least nothing like this where people are getting raped and, their limbs amputated, shit like that, tortured, then you're just wrong and you're thinking the wrong way. You have to look at history and how it's happened over time, particularly within the last 100 years, the last 50 years, and it's going to be no different for quite some time, and I don't think I can ever see society just being perfect and the way everyone's wanting it to be. And to people saying that, oh, but at least we're making a start on the problem, at least, we're making a difference, honestly, in 3 to 4 years, or 5, 6 years down the line, the exact same things are going to be happening. We may not hear about it because we're in Western society or Western culture, and the same things will happen. The same things will happen even when he is overthrown, and people will come to power. And to be honest, that with the rare amount of resources and that, the rich own computers, the rich own the internet, the rich own the resources anyway, and that connectivity is not going to get the message out if the rich are doing the bad things. So don't hope, or you can hope, but don't be expecting this to end everything or this to be a huge start, because out of the roughly 30,000 children soldiers that Kony has made into soldiers, I know he's abducted a lot more. There's still another 170,000 at least children soldiers in Africa. So the problem's not at all solved, and basically after, it takes a while to take these people down and to get things back to normal, and then by the time you've done that, it's another country that happens to. So don't expect for fucking unicorns and daisies growing out your ass. I fully support the cause, but don't expect it to change everything, and don't expect life to be so perfect. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm out. Sorry if it's too long.